shirts are a great gift to give people, especially when you have a slogan. Like I gave one to Bree, I gave one to Val, and I gave one to Luis. Shout out to those three. Those are the only three people in history to have an official Stop and Stare Don't Touch the Hair shirt. And that was before I changed my logo, before I started Stop and Stare Media. So like those shirts, like if they save those shirts in like 100, like 20 years, them shirts will be like worth 100,000 easy for the shirt. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Walk 12 podcast. If you're tuning in on YouTube or any of the podcast directories, make sure to do yourself one teeny tiny little favor and make sure to give us a follow, because I don't want you to miss out on any of the amazing episodes I got coming out this year. Without further ado, man, this series is going well so far. So I already told you about how I went to family reunion, first ever conference. That was about 15,000 people. I forgot to mention for Quantum Leap, that was the last conference I talked about in the last episode. That was about 250, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe 300 when you include all the instructors and stuff like that and staff. So I'd say like 250 to 300. Now, this next conference I went to, we went back to Austin. So, yep, I went to Austin in not back-to-back months, but almost, right? So I went to Quantum Leap in June of 2022. Went to Austin for Mega Camp in August of 2022. So, man, so let me tell you about this trip. So, oh, I didn't even tell you the story at Quantum Leap. Man, so let me tell you that quick story from Quantum Leap. Man, I snuck into a crypto convention while I was there. Now, one of the nights that we were there at Quantum Leap, I tried to go out to one of the bars. I don't even drink like that, honestly. I just wanted to go because like the people I was hanging out with were going, and like just to hang out one last time with them before we had to all split our ways and fly back home. And they ended up going to a bar. First person gets in, second person gets in, third person gets in. I'm the fourth person. I show them my ID. And my ID clearly states not 21 until September 2nd, 2020. Yeah, 20. Yeah, I forget. Yeah, not 21 until 2022. I turned 21. Yeah, and mind you, it's June, and so I was only 2 months away, 3 months away, and like they didn't let me in, and so I'm about to start heading back home, and there's this big club. It was like 4 levels, like which are different club on each level, and this one guy, he was passing out bracelets, didn't know what it was for, and these bunch of kids, they looked younger than me at the time, and they all started getting bracelets. And so I snuck behind them and acted like I was with one of the kids, blended right in, got myself a bracelet. Now the security, they were only letting people through with bracelets. This was a big line, like a big, almost like crowd of people. It wasn't even a line. That's how many people there were. It was just a massive crowd. But because we had bracelets, we got to sneak right through the front. And then we ended up going up and we get to the rooftop, and it's a giant open bar crypto convention. I ended up going late to the party. I ended up connecting with one guy, and we connected once afterwards. But yeah, that's how I snuck into a crypto conference at Quantum Leap. That was a cool little experience, nice little story to tell. But fast forward again, come home from Quantum Leap. So Mega Agent Camp, I was already planning on going because like that was a big conference. So Family Reunion is the big conference for Keller Williams, and then Mega Camp is, or Mega Agent Camp is smaller, and it's only for the agents, right? Not for anyone else. And this is geared towards the agents. So that one had about 5,000 people, if I'm not mistaken, and that's in Austin every year, if I'm not mistaken, as well. And so there, I was gonna go to that one because again, I'm indoctrinated. Like you got to go to the trainings, you got to go invest in yourself. So boom, so I go to Mega Agent Camp. I think all in, I probably spent close to like 1,200 for everything: the flight, the hotel, the ticket to attend. And man, so I get there, and the event was very different. This one was like, it's multiple speakers throughout the day, but it's only one stage, right? So it's like you're sitting down for a long period of time throughout the day. You're not going from breakout room to breakout room. Very different style conference than the last two I went to. It's one stage, big auditorium style room, right? And just a bunch of speakers rotating. And that event, I don't really remember much from that event, honestly. I don't really remember any of the speakers or anything like that. It was all focused on like real estate tactics, and I'm sure it was super valuable. But around that time, this is around the point where I almost pretty much was done with real estate. Like I was pretty much around that time period was a time period that I was getting ready to, wrap it up and start going into my social media stop and stare phase. Um, Story for another day, right? But I ended up going to this conference, and one of the events that I went to, the only memorable thing I remember is the Keller Williams Black Real Estate Network community, or whatever, the Black community, had a networking event. and I was going to that event. And at the event, I ended up connecting with some of my realtor friends that I already knew from Pivot Shift Ahead and all these other spin-off groups, right? I was connecting with them, and I was having a good time. Shout out to my good sis Bree from Bree Pittman from over in Charlotte. I think she's Charlotte, somewhere in North Carolina. And I was chilling with Bree and a couple other realtors, and from there, um, now the head of DEI, Julia Lachey, which is I also had on the podcast, right? This is now 2 years ago. My episode with Julia dropped, so it's been a while. But at Mega Camp, I ended up bumping into Julia again, and I met her for the first time at family reunion. And when I met her at family reunion, I remember I was getting ready to go to that early birds dinner on like one of the first nights that I was there, and she just happened to be at a table, and there was a lot of outdoor dining. She was sitting outdoors, and she had called me over, and I forget what she said to me, or I don't even know why she called me over out of all the plenty people, but I just remember talking to her for like 10 minutes or so, and she was like, give me positive words and some good advice. Um, and I guess she told me to connect with her. I never ended up connect. I don't remember the conversation much. I just remember that she called me over and we started talking for like 10 minutes. Right? And then from there, now we're at Mega Camp. Now this is August 2022, right? About 6 months later from family reunion, me and her start connecting. Now at the networking event, they had some champagne. So I was a little tipsy out the champagne. You feel me? I was sipping my little champagne, get my little drinky drink going, and nothing crazy. As I said, I don't never drink that much, and I was gonna make a fool of myself. Definitely, I was a little warm. Right, the champagne was getting to me. You go to these conferences and you barely ever have time to eat, so you're on an almost empty stomach, and I was feeling a little nice with the little champagne, and I'm in line waiting for my food, and her and her assistant pulled up, and then I said hey to Julia, and she ended up remembering me. Good thing to have a lot of hair, makes it very easy for people to remember you. And she was like, yeah, John, I told you to reach out and connect with me, and you never ended up reaching out. Now I'm like, oh, see, I don't remember that you ever saying that, and I don't remember. She was like, yeah, John, I told you to connect with me. And I'm like, damn, maybe she did, maybe she didn't. I don't know. But we ended up having a great conversation. Me and her were chopping it up. And I was telling her about the podcast and what I do with that. And she was like, yeah, I would love to be a guest on it, whatever, whatever. And from there, I ended up reaching out to her afterwards. And that's how I ended up getting Julia on the podcast, right? Because I met her at family reunion. And then from there, I ended up meeting her again at Mega Camp. And then from there, she hopped on my podcast. She ended up speaking at my virtual summit. And I did a launch recently back in January. I pretty much she was the guest speaker for day 4 of the launch, and then I hopped on like a coaching call with her, and I pretty much helped give her some AI games, some ways so she could start implementing AI to create content. And so yeah, so that was a very good connection. Never expected to bump into her. As I said, I was at the networking event, making connections, networking, met some dope people at that event as well, and I ended up bumping into her again, and she actually remembered me. I was surprised, honestly, because I said I'm just some kid in real estate. I wasn't no top producer or anything like that. Didn't have anything like special to my name, or accolade to my name to make me memorable. It was just the hair, and it worked, right? So, big thing is like I told you back in the first episode of this little conference series. When you go to these events, you got to make yourself memorable. You got to have it with like 5,000 people at an event, man. Everyone's exchanging business cards, everyone's talking, like everyone's meeting new people. We're already learning a bunch from the speakers, right? So like our brains are already getting filled with knowledge and information. So it's like you got to find a way to make yourself stand out. And so that was pretty much the main thing from my camp. Also, that's when I had these shirts that said "Stop and Stare," that don't touch the hair. Man, I don't even remember if I told that story about family reunion. I think I did. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I had these shirts that said "Stop and Stare, don't touch the hair," and that was like my go-to slogan. And so I brought 3 extra shirts. Shirts are a great gift to give people, especially when you have a slogan. Like I gave one to Bree, I gave one to Val, and I gave one to Luis. Shout out to those 3. Those are the only 3 people in history to have an official "Stop and Stare, don't touch the hair" shirt. And that was before I changed my logo, before I started Stop and Stare Media. So like those shirts, like if they save those shirts in like 100, like 20 years, them shirts will be like worth a mil, bro, or 100,000 easy, 100,000 easy for the shirt. So that was pretty much it for that conference. As it was cool. Austin is such a fun place to be. They have like scooters everywhere, and I don't know what it's like to live, but like just to travel as a tourist, like it's a cool place to go. They have scooters everywhere, so I just like whenever I need to, I just get my little scooter and I just start scooting it around and hit like a calm 15 miles per hour and start riding my little scooter on the street and get from point A to point B like super quickly. So that's it for Mega Camp. Like I said, I don't really remember too much in terms of anything else because as I said I was already kind of tapped out of real estate by that time. But like that was my biggest takeaway was connecting with Julia. That's been an amazing connection. She's a really dope lady and like just down to earth, like super down to earth. She's dope. But that's it. In the next conference, 2023 is when I got active because I got the scholarship money that I mentioned from Quantum Leap. So in 2023, I was going to conferences left and right. It felt like so. I got a lot. There's a lot more in store. So in the next episode, I'm going to tell you about how I went to Podfest and got my very first speaking engagement.